This is the Two Bald Guys Sports Podcast. Bald heads, bold takes. Now, here are your hosts, Adam and Tony.
Welcome back. I'm Adam.
I'm Tony.
Tony, here we go. We're getting into, if you're a college basketball fan, this is the best time of the year. We talked about it a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
But as teams go down in college basketball in the tournament, we start to get some coaching changes. Some big names in college hoops have let go of teams. Cincinnati let go of their coach. Syracuse let go of the coach, and Syracuse picked up an old player, Jerry McNamara, who coached Siena, who almost beat Duke. But probably the biggest one that's opened up so far, and maybe the biggest one around, that's what we're going to talk about a little bit here and how it ties in with football, is North Carolina. North Carolina today, this is Wednesday, fired their head coach, Hubert Davis, after he gave up a 19-point lead against VCU and lost, and he kind of, didn't live up to expectations. So I guess the thing is North Carolina has always been one of those dream jobs. North Carolina, Duke, I think in college basketball ways, I mean, that has to be like one of those that would have been like a Bama, not even Georgia. I'm going to go with Alabama all time, probably Alabama, maybe Miami, or honestly, that's probably where you're looking at, right? Like those type of teams, Penn State, maybe way back in the day. Like, what would you compare the North Carolina job to in the pre-NIL era of college football?
Yeah, when you bring up North Carolina basketball, I think of Dean Smith. I grew up, Dean Smith, 80s, 90s, and then Roy Williams was there forever and had success there as well. So the amount of coaches that they've had in my lifetime is very, very small. Same with Duke. So you look at teams like you said, Bama, Nick Saban was there for so long. And then you look at Joe Paterno with Penn State. He was there forever. So I look at those kind of teams and I'm like, Nebraska, Tom Osborne was there forever, right? I mean, not so much Nebraska now, but me and even you growing up, I know you like to say that I'm like 10 years older than you, but I'm not that much older than you. But the Paternos, the Osbornes, the Bobby Bowdens, like they remind me of the coach Krzyzewski from Duke and Roy Williams and Dean Smith of North Carolina. So yeah, when you're talking about premier jobs in college basketball, North Carolina is top 3, probably. Definitely top 5. Could put it maybe 1 or 2 up there for sure.
Absolutely. You definitely, you get that rivalry and everybody makes a big deal of it. But if you want sustained success over a long period of time, it's Duke and North Carolina. It's been that way for the longest time. Way back when, obviously UCLA was just unbelievable when John Wooden was there, and that was partially when you have some guy like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar playing center for you, and then you have
then you get Bill Walton in there, and
stuff like it was just kind of unfair.
That helps,
but. Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky, is up there. UConn's only been up there a little bit recently. So, but you got that, maybe a little bit back in the day, you had Georgetown and Syracuse. But again, guess what? They had consistency. Georgetown had, oh my gosh, I forget what his name was.
Thompson. John Thompson was
for the longest time. And Syracuse had, now I'm just going to go blank on everybody.
You had Patrick Ewing, Allen Iverson,
that was Georgetown, right? But Syracuse had
Syracuse. The head coach of Syracuse. Yeah,
completely forgetting.
Bald guy with glasses. Boeheim.
Yeah.
Jim Boeheim.
Yeah, Jim Boeheim.
Jim Boeheim.
So but you had that consistency with the coaches, and do you think it has more to do with the job doesn't come open as often, or is it that program is just so good?
I think once you find success, with a coach and he gets a program rolling, things are different nowadays, and we can talk about that here in a second, but back in the 80s and 90s, once you get a program rolling, you start getting the recruits year in, year out, and it just builds on itself and it just snowball effects, and you just stay there because people want to come to your school. It's like, Duke's very prestigious college outside of just sports. And then North Carolina, their basketball program obviously is always up there, but you start getting this image that when you go to this school, you not only are going to compete for a national title, but now you're setting yourself up to play in the NBA, which is a lot of what these kids, that's their main goal. Like I said, things have changed a little bit now, but back 80s and 90s, early 2000s, like you went to those programs because you were going to be on TV. You possibly could be making millions in the NBA. Like they were going to set you up for success. So I think it just kind of snowball effects once you get a program started. So why would you fire the coach when you're making the Final Four, 3 out of 4 years pretty much?
Right. And I mean, like you said, we can debate all we want. Did Nick Saban in Alabama, did they pay their players? Which,
Right.
there's no proof. There's just a lot of accusations. So I'm not going to get into did he or did he not. But he had that thing rolling, and kids wanted to go to Alabama because they were going to be at the top all the time. So, he built that program back up. Obviously, it was really good when I cannot think of coaches' names right now. When the guy was there long time
ago. Before Saban. I mean, there's Bear Bryant back in
Bear Bryant. Thank you.
A long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, when Bear Bryant when Alabama was just really good, they had that team rolling. So I think, if you wanted to flip it, be pre-NIL stuff. I mean, obviously North Carolina, Duke, and basketball. But I think, obviously, Alabama's got to be at the top of the list. Nebraska was one of those at the top of the list. Michigan, you can say what you want about it. Michigan, Ohio State, those teams are all at the top of the list. Penn State was for the longest time, but it just never came open because Paterno was there. But if those jobs opened up, but I mean, people might want to say Florida and Florida State, but honestly, before Steve Spurrier and Bobby Bowden were at those two schools, they weren't good teams. Like Florida was not good before Steve Spurrier. He got them going. So, I mean, you think about these schools and I keep hearing like North Carolina fans are like, oh, anybody would want to come to our school to coach, right? Because we're the top job in the thing. I think there was a time when that was true. But last year, Kentucky had an opening and they couldn't get anybody to come there. So they ended up taking Mark Pope, who was a graduate from Kentucky. He was at BYU. And most people said he would have done anything to come back to Kentucky. So that was he was going to take that no matter what. But I don't think anybody thought Mark Pope was a home run hire, just because he graduated from Kentucky. So it's now that the NIL is here, and I think it's a little bit easier to win at some of these other places. Do people want to leave there? Because do you think, even though Kirk Cignetti at Indiana won a national championship, do you think he really has a ton of pressure on himself next year? Dude, he's
absolutely
on borrowed time right now. But if you go to a place like Alabama, if Kirk Cignetti would leave and go to Alabama, he needs to win now.
Correct.
Now. And I'm not saying these people are allergic to pressure, but why go to a high pressure place when you can do the exact same thing you're doing at a place that doesn't give you that pressure?
No, absolutely. And when you think of, and I think of, again, we're going to stay in the Big Ten, Kirk Ferentz at Iowa. The guy's been there forever. It's been him, and that's all I've known my whole life because I can't remember the Hayden Fry, I think was before that. Iowa shows up. They don't win national titles. They have some years where they only win 6 games, but they develop guys. Okay, they take 3 stars and they turn them into NFL guys, mostly offensive linemen, defensive linemen type stuff. But once in a while, they'll get hot and win 9 or 10 games. They'll be ranked in the top 5, and he's just living his best life out there, in Iowa City. And he's never going to get fired. And like you said, the pressure on him, probably not real hot. Same with Cignetti. Cignetti could literally stay at Indiana forever after winning 1 national title at possibly one of the worst football programs of the last 50 years.
Yeah, it last 50 years, maybe ever.
Right.
Quite possibly ever. I think they had the fewest number of wins of any Power 5 school. But yeah, I mean, now, do they want Indiana to be better now? Absolutely, and they pay them a lot of money to be better. But you're right. He has given himself I would say, unless he just falls off, unless they just absolutely fall off, there's not any signs it's going to happen. Unless he falls off, he's given himself a 5-year window where they're going to be like, you know what? Yeah, you gave us a national championship. Yep. And not only did they give you a national championship, they went undefeated. They won the Big Ten, beat Ohio State, beat Alabama, and beat Miami. You beat all the big boys. That was not a cheap national championship. It's not you went through a bunch of James Madison, and then you happen to run into, I don't know, an Iowa State that just happened to win or something like that. They were beating big boys, and they were doing it so very consistently. Impressively. They whipped Oregon, they whipped Alabama,
they whipped Bama.
And Miami at the end, it was closer, but they kind of had that game in hand too. So it's I don't know, you have no, there's literally no pressure there. There's none. No. So if I was Kirk Cignetti, would you leave for Bama? Listen, Bama already wants to fire DeBoer that came in there because he hasn't done anything. And it's not like they've been bad. They just haven't been Nick Saban good. But at the same time, with the NIL evening things out, and if you want to go on the train that the SEC was paying players before, everything's leveled off. And now they're not high and mighty, and the Big Ten is.
Right. And it makes you wonder if that's why kind of Saban got out. I know he doesn't like the transfer portal and the NIL stuff. He likes guys to come in as freshmen, sit for a couple years. He can develop them, and they're program guys. And that's just not a thing anymore as much as it used to be in the past. So I think you're right. If Cignetti goes to Bama, they expect a national championship probably 2 years tops. And if he doesn't deliver that, he's on the hot seat. He can stay at Indiana for the rest of his life. I mean, like you said, unless he just obviously goes down 3-4 wins a season, it goes back to the old Indiana ways. But with what he's got going and what he's able to do, pressure's off of him now. He's good to go. Indiana just has to show up and win 8 or 9 games, and he can be the next Kirk Ferentz sitting at, like he sits at Iowa, wins 8, 9 games, and, everyone's fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it now. I think now it is less about what the school name is and more of how much money are you willing to put into the program.
Yes.
And work with NIL. So like if you're going to work with NIL or, you got a coach that is very good at the transfer portal, which obviously Cignetti showed that last year. Mm-hmm. I don't think it matters so much the name across your chest. Now, obviously you're going to have better facilities at Michigan than you are going to be at like Northwestern or even like I'm going to hate to say it, like a UCLA, but Ohio State, Michigan, there's still those teams, right? But if a team wants to invest in it, if a team gets some donors behind it, I mean, hell, Indiana's got Mark Cuban that, has put some money into things. If they want to invest in it, I think that's all you got to really need. Like, hey, if I come here, if I come to Indiana, if I come to Vanderbilt, if I come to something like this, what is the money you're going to invest into this program in NIL? And if you can do that, we can compete with these big boys. And the name across the chest doesn't matter as much. Like, because you would have thought Indiana winning the national championship, or Vanderbilt being close to the playoff or any of that. You just said, no, thank you. Indiana was being dismissed again last year because they were Indiana, because of the name on the chest. That's what people are still thinking. But now I think the shift is starting to change a little, or the thought is starting to change a little bit. And it's not so much the name across the chest, it's what you're going to do with the NIL stuff.
Yeah, and I'll flip it a little bit on the other side. Like now, if you Kirk Cignetti has taken possibly the worst football program in a long time and undefeated national title, beating the big boys. All these other schools like Nebraska, right, who used to be dominant, who's fallen off. What are they doing over there? Like you have the name, or you had the name. I know it's fallen off, but how can a guy take Indiana to the national title and you have perennial powerhouse for years in teams like Nebraska, Florida, right? Even I'll throw USC out there. Like these are big time programs that have dominated in the 90s and 2000s. And, what's the expectation there? So I think if you're at those other programs that do have the name on your chest and you're not producing, you might be in trouble. You're on a little bit of the hot seat there.
Yeah,
you would think.
And I think that's what they're talking about because, they talk about here with North Carolina, and we'll go back to the basketball for a second, They're like, oh, they should just be able to call. And I even have a friend, I write with it that is a North Carolina fan. I was like, well, who do you want? And he named off, Nate Oates, who's at Alabama. He named off Dusty May, and he named off the guy at Iowa State, Olsenberger or Olsen. I know I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but I had argued with him. I was like, Dusty May's not leaving. He goes, yeah, I think he would. And I'm like, why? Like that Michigan's paying him money. He's shown he can win there. I mean, yes, do we want winners at Michigan? Absolutely. And I want their basketball team to be better. But at the end of the day, people are still going to want their football team to be better than their basketball team. So they're concentrating on that a little bit more.
Correct.
And then not only that, like the Big Ten market, what the Big Ten is pulling in right now, the money that the Big Ten is giving their teams is ridiculous. Like the ACC cannot compete with that right now. So while yes, North Carolina has money with the basketball team, the money they're getting from their deals or their TV deals, I think matters. And I think now it matters more just being in the Big Ten and being in the SEC than it is even in the ACC. Like, Indiana is still getting a share of that money that they're making. So Indiana's flush with cash. Why do you think UCLA and Washington and Oregon and USC begged to come to the Big Ten?
Correct. Yeah. And just follow the money at that point. So Big Ten, SEC are obviously rolling, but you look at teams like Texas Tech, you look at their sports, they're getting money dumped to their program. Their softball team was runner-up last season. I don't know. I think they're going to be good again this year. Their basketball team made the tournament. I can't remember if they won a game. I know they lost
a game, and they lost
to okay. So they won a game there. I don't know how good their baseball team is, but their football team made the playoff. Had a bad showing in the playoff, but Texas Tech is a team where people are putting money into their sports, and they're getting players, and they're being competitive at Texas Tech, who for the longest time, especially in softball, even football, they were just average at best. But now they're competing for championships, and they're out there doing it because the money. Follow the money. But you're right. The Big Ten and the SEC are carrying the money right now, and they have all the money. So you look at teams like Texas, and if you're a Texas fan, you're going, we have players. We've had players for years. We have money. What are we doing? Why is Texas Tech making the playoff and we're not? That's what I would be looking at if I'm an AD going, Texas Tech's doing something better than we are. I get it. They're playing in the Big 12 or in the SEC, but still, we're Texas, right? We're Bama. We're Georgia. We're supposed to be in there year in, year out because we have the money, and we're the SEC or we're the Big 10. So, yeah, things are getting interesting. There's talks on capping money and things like that. I mean, I know Lane Kiffin got a bunch of NIL money down there in Baton Rouge, so we're going to be interesting to see what he does with that. So, I mean, we thought maybe Dion could pull it off in Colorado, but that really hasn't worked out so far out there.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. So it's is it a money thing now? I think it is, as opposed to the name across the chest. So it's just interesting to see the shift and what people perceive is a good job now. And I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still people that would love to be at North Carolina, but Nate Oates at Alabama, again, he's doing a really good job with their basketball team, and that's a football school. So it's just bonus if they're good, right? I mean, it's the same thing. Like, if you could flip it, Kentucky is supposed to be a basketball school. So when the football team's good, it's a bonus. Indiana has been that same way. Now their basketball team's down a little bit, but it was always, okay, whatever. We can deal with the football team not being good because the basketball team is so good. Right. So it's just interesting to see that shift and see, do people really want to go to those schools and take that pressure on where they feel like, it's national championship or bust. And with the level playing field right now, that's tougher to do.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you look at Duke football. Yeah, I get their record wasn't super impressive, but they did technically win the ACC title. And now you have Duke basketball, who probably, I mean, I'm not going to say should have got beat by Siena, but man, they were put to the test against a Siena team who everyone just thought Duke was going to blow them out. And Duke ended up winning it and everything, and they can still have a good chance at making a run at the national title. But you got a Duke team winning the ACC, and now you got a Duke basketball team. Duke basketball, let's be honest, they are that's their sport at that school. I think they're good at lacrosse too, and maybe soccer. But as far as the big name sports, it's basketball out there. Or you look at Kansas. Kansas had a couple years where their football team was good, but typically their football team's pretty bad. But their basketball team is kind of slipping a little bit too.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting, just kind of weird thing to look at, as this goes on, because people are, I think they just assume, like you said, they just assume they can go out and just throw money at anybody and call them and say, what, we want you, and they'll just be like, oh my God, North Carolina's calling me, so I'm definitely going to go. I mean, they can still get a high name guy, but it's not just anybody they want to get. So.
And it's not all about X's and O's anymore. I mean, it's transfer portal, it's NIL, all that stuff factors in. It would be hard to be a coach. Like, I can kind of see why Saban got out. Like, old school guy, X's and O's guy, hard work, develop players. Now all of a sudden we got transfer portal craziness and NIL money flying around. I can see how it could be kind of difficult to be a coach nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, they showed, I think, the Sweet 16 for the basketball that's coming up here. They said where all their starters, started their college career. And I mean, Michigan State did a good job. All 5 of their guys are there. I think Tennessee has 4 or 5, but most of these schools, it's like 3 or 4 different schools, and maybe they have 1 from it. So, but you know what? Let's go back to the days when people didn't leave schools here a little bit. And you brought it up, before we got on air here. You said you heard something about teams coming up with this Mount Rushmore of players. So go ahead and explain what they picked up.
So yeah, it's. I think they do a podcast or something on TikTok, and I don't even know the name of the guy, but his stuff pops up quite a bit, and they do several different things. And the one I really liked is he did the Mount Rushmore of schools, but you pick players, the best players that have ever played at certain positions, and you got your Mount Rushmore, which is 4 players. You got your quarterback, you got a running back, wide receiver, and a defensive player. Who are the best players to come from these schools? And he was kind of putting out their teams out there, like, who do you think has one of the best Mount Rushmores all-time players at their schools? And surprisingly, some of the teams you wouldn't think about actually had some really, really good players play for them.
Yeah. So I think the one, that surprised you was Pitt.
Okay.
We'll come back to Pitt in a minute, but you know what? If anybody that listens to us knows, I'm a big Michigan fan. You're a big Oklahoma fan. So
Right.
let's just start with Michigan. All right. So we pick out the best quarterback, the best running back, the best receiver, and a defensive player.
You want to go defense first? Is that easy?
Yeah, defense, I think,
Probably easiest.
Michigan's had some ridiculously good defensive players.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to – but I think it's one of one. It's Charles Woodson.
It's Chuck. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he was unbelievable. He stopped everything. He won the Heisman. He was the first primary defensive player to win the Heisman.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be Charles Woodson. I mean, you think there's any debate on that for the defensive guy from Michigan?
No, I think that's why I said let's just start with defense and get that out of the way, because I don't think there's anybody. I mean, there's been some good linebackers there. There have been great defensive linemen there, but Charles Woodson, he's the guy. I don't think there's any conversation around Charles Woodson. He's your defensive Mount Rushmore for sure. That aside, we're good there.
Absolutely. Now, here's where it gets a little bit tougher, okay? Because if we go to quarterback, right, everybody's going to assume it's Tom Brady.
They're going to jump on Tom. Correct.
They're going to jump on Tom Brady. But to be honest.
No, not in college.
If we're talking about college, it is not Tom Brady. Now, if you want to factor in the NFL career, it's 100% all day long Tom Brady. So if you want to go with their actual total football career, would you agree it'd be Tom Brady? It's not even a question, right?
Right. I mean, yeah, the guy has 7 Super Bowls or whatever. I mean, yeah, there's no question. But I think we're talking strictly college. Let's keep it strictly to college. I don't think Tom split time with who? Drew Henson?
Yeah, Drew Henson a little bit. So if you're going college, I mean, it's a little bit tougher because I'm not going to lie. I don't remember some of the like Tom Harmon and stuff like that, that were a little bit older. So I don't know that. And if you want to go with like all around athlete and what he got there, you could argue Denard Robinson because what he did with his legs was really, really good. But I'm telling you right now, Chad Henne was pretty darn good. He started all 4 years. He was a really, really good quarterback. I know he didn't bring him to the national championship. I know they kind of let down. He was there when they lost to Appalachia State. But at least in like my sort of childhood growing up, it was Chad Henne was really, really good. Okay. Obviously, Denard Robinson, if you want to go with the dual threat, he was really good. Brian Griese won the
national
title, and he was good, but he wasn't like that guy that you're like, okay, all those years. So. And then if you want to go a little bit more recently, obviously you could look at maybe JJ McCarthy. Yeah. But I'm going to go with Chad Henne.
Yeah, I don't think I have an argument there. I think you said it. He started all 4 years. He was very, very good, won a lot of football games. Denard Robinson was super fun to watch.
Oh, he was awesome to watch.
Right. And Brian Griese was more of a manager. He relied on good running backs. That defense was stupid good. Obviously, Charles Woodson on that team. So Brian Griese, yeah, he won the national title in '97 with them, but how much of a factor was he? So I like your Chad Henne pick for quarterback. I think that's a good pick. Like you said, we're not going to go back to the 50s and 60s so much, but modern football era.
Yeah, right.
Okay, running back.
So
or wide receiver.
Obviously, there's a few. I mean, Mike Hart was awesome.
Yep.
And Anthony Thomas, A-Train. He was really, really good. And I mean, and then you had, a little bit on the outside there, Tim Biakabatuka. He ran for 300 yards in a game against Ohio State.
Okay.
You have some guys that are really, really good, but how, like you said, how far back are we going to go here? We and you are older, but not that old. So I got to go with, it's either Mike Hart or Anthony Thomas. I liked Mike Hart a little bit more, but I think Anthony Thomas probably had a little bit of the edge. He was just a bigger back, and he was really, really good. So I'm going to go with A-Train, Anthony Thomas. But it's funny because none of the Michigan running backs, like we can talk about Ohio State quarterbacks failing in the NFL. Michigan running backs haven't done exactly really great either.
Yeah, I have no problem with the Anthony Thomas pick at all. I was thinking Mike Hart as well. I had forgotten about Anthony Thomas, but now that you bring him up, I think that's a great pick for running back for Michigan. Yeah, wide receiver though.
But listen, they had, I think Anthony Thomas was that the old guy way back when or something. I don't know. Again, we're gonna go kind of in our age range. Listen,
80s, 90s.
Yeah. Listen. Desmond Howard. Won the Heisman, and he was really, really good. But Braylon Edwards in college.
Oh, I forgot about him.
Just ridiculous. Like Desmond Howard was awesome, and he had the punt returns. Yes. And there's nothing against Desmond Howard. And if you pick Desmond Howard to be the receiver for their guys, I cannot argue with that.
Right.
But Braylon Edwards, with his size, he was sick in college, and he took over this Michigan State game when they were down, and unbelievable. Like, Michigan has produced some really good wide receivers, but I'm going to go Braylon Edwards.
Okay, I forgot. I was thinking Desmond, obviously, but yeah, Braylon Edwards. I remember him as well. So you got Chad Henne, Anthony Thomas, Braylon Edwards, and then Charles Woodson. That's a pretty solid. That's a solid Mount Rushmore for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right, you're going to lead this a little bit, obviously, because you know the team's a little bit better. So let's move on to Oklahoma. So what would you have for your Mount Rushmore at Oklahoma?
Quarterback is kind of tough. I mean, if you go back to the 80s, 85 when they won the national title, Jamel Holloway, but he was a freshman. I think they really relied on the running back and their defense, and they ran the wishbone offense, a lot of option stuff, which he was good at. Troy Aikman actually was there behind him, and he transferred to UCLA. Anyway, then you go to 2000 when they won a national title. Josh Heupel was there, and he was top 3 in the Heisman. But I don't think I'm going to put those guys over Baker Mayfield.
Okay.
I like Sam Bradford a lot, and I like Kyler Murray. Bradford did it for a couple of years, but Baker Mayfield was just he was electric. I mean, you saw him play. Like, he was just super fun to watch, just made plays, kind of the crazy gunslinger like Brett Favre. So I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield at the quarterback position.
Yeah, we talked about this a lot. You know, I went to a Tennessee game live, and they played Oklahoma, and I remember seeing this, on the field, he looks like a short little white guy just running around, and Tennessee not being it. And it was like it all of a sudden snapped. It just like clicked in the second half. The first half he was okay. The second half he was ridiculous, and then they won that game in overtime. And I'm like, who is this guy? I've never even heard of this Baker Mayfield guy, right? Yep. And he just took over that game, and he could do that. He could take over those games. Like, so if you're going by pure like entertainment value and being able to win games, you know, I thought you were going to go with Heupel or Sam Bradford. I think those would both be good picks. But I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with your Baker Mayfield pick. And again, we're not talking like we're not going back to the 60s and 70s right now. So yeah, I don't hate that. So all right, you got that. Running back.
Running back's super tough one. There's some Adrian Peterson obviously has to come to mind right away for most people that have been alive for the last 20 years. Adrian Peterson was fantastic. But if you go back, I mean, Billy Sims, if you talk to old school Oklahoma fans, guys older than me, it's Billy Sims all day long. But I'm not that old, and no disrespect to Billy. He was a great back in the 70s. But like, I just can't get past Adrian Peterson. I think he's got to be there. Yeah. I mean, I watched that guy in the early 2000s, and he was insane. And I know Billy Sims was super, super great Heisman Trophy winner, but it's Adrian Peterson.
It's got to be Adrian Peterson. Yeah. I don't know how you go. I don't know. That guy was unbelievable in college, and then you talk about a guy that translated to the NFL. He was unbelievable with the Vikings for a long time. So yeah, Adrian Peterson definitely. All right, your receiver.
So fortunately, the 80s really didn't have a ton of great receivers. I mean, they had Keith Jackson at tight end, but you know, they ran the ball so much, and they weren't a prominent throwing team. So you have to go get a little newer. And there's guys like Mark Clayton out there with Sam Bradford. Those guys were good. Some guy named Manuel Johnson was pretty good, but Hollywood Brown was good. But there's this guy named CeeDee Lamb that was just a difference maker out there. And I can't get past CeeDee Lamb, like how good that guy was. Hollywood Brown was great and fun and fast and always wide open, I felt like. But CeeDee Lamb is definitely, I think he's got to be the guy.
Yeah, I don't know how you get away from CeeDee Lamb. Like, CeeDee Lamb was really, really good. And like you said, some of those other ones, it hasn't translated as much to the NFL, but in college they were really good. But CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, definitely. Lamb. And, we could say, what would you pick for defense? But if you've been listening to us at all, you understand why Tony has become what became an Oklahoma fan. And it was because of a defensive guy. So, Tony, who would your defensive guy be?
Yeah, for me, it's Brian Bosworth. You know that. You knew that the first time I ever met you in person, I had a Bos shirt on. Like, that's
yes, you did.
That's where we were at with this. So it's Brian Bosworth. If you just watch highlights of the guy, like even today, I'll show my sports class highlights of Brian Bosworth just because I want to, and they're just like, dear Lord, like, who is this dude out there just doing whatever he wants, making plays. I mean, he had 21 tackles by himself one game in 1986. Like, he was just a freak of nature out there, way ahead of his time. Obviously, his personality kind of took over, as well. He was NIL before NIL. If they had NIL back then, he'd have been crazy about it. But yeah, it's Bosworth for sure. There's other guys that have been great at Oklahoma, but it's Bos for sure. It's Bos.
Yeah, Bosworth, definitely. I think you got to go with him. And he looked really good until he ran into Bo Jackson, and then that was a little bit different. So
Bo Jackson's a difference.
Bo Jackson ran into him. I don't know which way you want to call it.
But I'm not sure which way you're going to go with that.
Yeah, so
Bos lost that round.
All right. So let's go to some ones that are a little harder, and this is mostly because of the mountain of good players they have. So let's just go right to the top of the mountain. Most recently for us is Alabama. So you know what? I'll start quarterback. I'll start with the quarterback. So I mean, Where do you start? Like, who was the best quarterback for them? But I mean, you had Tua. Jalen Hurts was good for a little bit, but Tua took over for him. Oh my gosh, now I'm just drawing a blank.
Greg McElroy.
Greg McElroy
quarterback for him.
But you know what? The receivers made these guys look so good. I mean, they were really good. But
who we picking at receiver
to throw? Yeah, that's the other thing. Who are you picking at receiver? Like, holy cow! I don't know. I mean, as far as like what just seemed like, I'm just going to go with no NFL team talked about tanking for a player like they did for Tua.
Yeah.
The way that Tua played in college. Now, again, how he's played in the NFL, he's had a couple of good years, and we've talked about this ad nauseum about it. But you never heard of teams. It was tank for Tua. They were talking about it for 2 years. Tank for Tua, right? What he was doing in college, the way he took over for Jalen Hurts, and then through that touchdown pass against Georgia,
the national title game,
and then was really really good after that. Yeah. So and unfortunately for Bama fans, he hurt his ankle or hip or something like that right at the end of his his career at Alabama. But I'm going to go with Tua. I know there's been better ones maybe later or older, but I'm going to go with Tua.
I mean, we could go back to the World War II Bear Bryant days, and there might have been the decent guys. But for the situation that Tua was brought in on when he replaced Jalen Hurts and he pulled out a national title win against Georgia, like, that guy in college was something else. I felt like that guy never, ever missed a throw. That might have been because he's really good, or like you said, the amount of wide receivers that has gone through Alabama. I don't know how we're going to pick one. I'll stick with Tua on the quarterback, but boy, wide receivers, we're going to have problems.
Yeah, so let's go to the running backs, which
something else
easier.
It's true.
You had a couple, Heisman Trophy winners there, but how do you not go with Derrick Henry? Like,
I was thinking the same. I mean, Mark Ingram obviously has to come into the conversation. But
Mark
Derrick
Ingram
Henry,
obviously really really good. Derrick Henry, like, that guy is a linebacker, defensive lineman, and a running back body. A running back in a linebacker, defensive lineman body. Like, that dude is ridiculous. When he gets ahead of steam, like, would you want to get in front of him?
Nope. It's going to cost you a lot of money because I'm going to have to pay for medical bills. But, like, that guy is insane. Yeah, it's Derrick. I think it's Derrick Henry. I don't think there's an argument. Even Nick Saban's, they asked him about some of his favorite players. Derrick Henry was one of his favorite players. So
yeah, because I heard he's an awesome dude and was good in the clubhouse, not locker room, I guess you could say, for college. But yeah, go Derrick Henry. All right.
Okay.
Wide receiver, like you could pick a handful of them. Like, I think there's 5, 6, 7 of them that you could pick, and I think you could make a legitimate argument for and be like, okay, yep, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, Devontae Smith. I mean, Henry Ruggs was good with them. Jerry Jeudy. I mean, dear Lord, the list goes on at Bama. I'm probably forgetting a couple guys.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you are.
Julio Jones probably sticks out to me a little bit as somebody that was, but Calvin Ridley was outstanding. Jerry Jeudy was great. Nobody could guard that guy. Like, it's insane. Devontae Smith, he was faster than everybody on the freaking field all the time. Who am I forgetting? There's got to be someone out there that I'm forgetting. Ruggs, Jeudy, Devontae Smith. I know I'm forgetting a couple guys, but man, that Bama wide receiver room is insane. I'm going to go with Julio. I think Julio, for me, probably, but like you said, pick one.
Amari Cooper,
Jalen
Waddle.
Oh my gosh!
Ryan Williams is still there.
That's
John
true.
Michie III, he's in the NFL
Michie
still. Like
was good.
This is just. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous what these guys did. So you're going to go with you said Julio Jones. Like
I forgot about Coop.
I can't. I got to go with Devonta Smith. Like that dude was so good, and he weighed about 110 pounds. I mean, I'm joking, but like he won the Heisman Trophy. Like he just, it was ridiculous. His school records of 3,900 yards and 48 touchdowns.
Dear Lord,
he's the only wide receiver to win the Heisman Trophy for Alabama. So I got to go Devonta Smith. But you know what? We just named off six pros that had good careers. And honestly, we're not defending anything Henry Duggs did. He deserves everything he got. He screwed up.
Yeah.
But if he wouldn't have screwed up, I think he would have been really good in the NFL too.
Yeah.
I mean, you got and Judy has fallen off a little bit, but he was really good. Obviously, Amari Cooper was really good for a while. Devonta Smith is still really good. Julio Jones was just ridiculous for a few years with the Falcons. I think he just finally retired. But yeah,
pick a couple guys.
Just ridiculous. Go with it.
But you're right. Devontae kind of broke so many records and won the Heisman. That might have separated him from the pack. But man, you could pick 3 or 4 guys easily, and nobody's going to argue. That's crazy.
All right, we got to do it, and I'll just be fair. All right, we'll just go fair. Ohio State. All right.
Okay.
Listen, I know we said we wouldn't go back that far, but the running back. I mean, you could go Archie Griffin if you want to go back because he won 2 Heisman. I get it. But if we want to go a little bit more in our age range, Eddie George.
Yep. 100%. Right? It's Eddie George.
I'm not trying to say Eddie George is better than Archie Griffin, but Eddie George, like you said, if we're going with from the more of our time frame, our lives, 80s on, Eddie George, right? It's got to be Eddie George.
Yeah, I mean they've had good backs, they've had quality backs. Maurice Claret was a good back, but short-lived. Eddie George, that guy. Different level. He was a different level. Of course, Archie won 2 Heismans, but we're talking that was in the 70s. So I don't know. I didn't really get to see him play. So it's a little bit different. But you and I, Eddie George was the guy, and he was stupid good.
Yeah, stupid good. Receiver. This is another one. Just an embarrassment of riches that they've had a receiver, and it makes me sick. What they've had there, because you're like, okay, Michigan's had some receivers, but those were more kind of in the 90s, and Ohio State right now is it's stupid. Like they always seem to have 2 guys on both ends. Like if you we're going to go with it seems I know that it's tough to get it past the recency bias, but in college, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jackson Smith and Jigba,
JSN,
ridiculous, right? Just ridiculous.
Chris Olave.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
He was good too.
Michael Thomas.
Yeah, they've had some guys out there. Wow. You don't realize. I mean, Carnell Tate, if you want to go real recent, he was good. I mean, they have a guy right now who's pretty dang good in Smith.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Smith.
No.
He's real good.
Yeah.
They've had some guys, but do you go Harrison? Ooh.
Yeah. I think I would go with Harrison.
Marvin Harrison's
more recently. Yeah. Obviously he's been a disappointment in his first years in the NFL, but he's still young. He has a chance, but
in college though, he was.
Yeah. But I mean, Chris Olave was good.
Chris Olave was good. Well, JSN again,
Justin Sickman, Jigba.
They've just been loaded.
The question for you then is who would you pick as their quarterback though?
I mean, we got Kirk Herbstreit out there. Probably not Kirk, but boy, Troy Smith was really good at quarterback. Obviously, it didn't translate into the NFL. Mike Tomczak was there. I think
you're going back.
I'm going back a little 80s. He played for your Bears too. Troy Smith was really good. But who was the guy? Cardell Jones. He didn't have a long career there, but what he did in that short amount of time, like he basically won the national championship for him. When all those guys got hurt, Braxton Miller, and there was another guy in there. JT Barrett was good.
Yeah.
They've had some quarterbacks out there. Troy Smith sticks out to me a little bit. What about what's his face? Terrell Pryor.
Yeah, he was good.
He was good.
Troy Smith was really good. Honestly, I thought the best guy, but he didn't win a national championship, was C.J. Stroud. Like he was really, really good.
Oh, yeah.
And Michigan just somehow had his number. Somehow had his number. But C.J. Stroud, I think Troy Smith, he was good. Cardell Jones, he He came in for JT Barrett, who got hurt, and I was like,
Yep.
okay, cool, here we go. Michigan's going to win, and then
The third
Jones
stringer.
went off, and then he took them off. I think they were the 4 seed and then won the national championship.
The title. Yep.
He famously said, I didn't come to Ohio State to go to another school. So,
right.
But
I like Troy or CJ Stroud. I can't believe I forgot about CJ Stroud. Yeah, he was outstanding.
Yeah,
really good. Either one of those guys good.
Yeah, pretty good there. All right, since we did my rival, we'll go to your rival, and then we have one more thing I want to talk about here. But let's go to Texas.
Texas, real quick.
Texas. I think if you're going to go recency bias a little bit, or at least in our lifetime, the quarterback's got to be Vince Young, right?
Vince Young, yep, 100%. I don't think there's an argument. I know Colt McCoy was there, and he probably has the most wins, but Vince Young, 2005 Rose Bowl against USC, outstanding performance. Again, I don't like Texas, obviously, but Vince Young was he was just playing with little people out there. Like, he was ridiculous.
Yeah, what he did in
Young. Yeah,
what he did in the USC game was just ridiculous.
Stupid.
We got to go with that. Running back.
Ricky Williams, right? It's Ricky Williams. I mean, they've had guys like Priest Holmes and stuff like that who are great. They've had backs, but it's Ricky Williams for sure.
Yeah,
I don't think it's that close.
100% Ricky Williams. Another receiver where it gets a little bit tricky, but what are you going with receiver? You've watched some more, so I'm drawing a blank on receivers right now. So
I mean, Jordan Shipley probably made me more angry for a guy that just seemed to be open constantly. But I don't think he's their best wide receiver. Jordan Shipley he's just my pick because he was constantly just, nobody covered him for some reason.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Who else sticks out? For being Texas, they don't really have. I mean, Roy Williams is probably their. I mean, not the Oklahoma Roy Williams, but Roy Williams. I mean, recently Xavier Worthy, pretty good.
Yeah.
But I mean, Roy Williams or Jordan Shipley. I just don't like Jordan Shipley because I swear every time they played Oklahoma, I'm not kidding you, the guy tore him up. I'm going to go Jordan Shipley. I mean, say what you want, but that guy had a pretty good career.
He did. I got to go just because, like I said, I'm drawing a blank on most of them, so I got to go Roy Williams on that one.
They don't have a ton of them. It's not like
they don't have a ton of them. And you want to talk about a team that I just cannot think of any defensive players. It's Texas. Like, I'm not sure.
Defense for Texas. I'm trying to think. They had to have some linemen at some point that were fantastic. Or did they have a linebacker? They had some freaking. I mean, I don't know. I mean, who's their all-star guys? I literally can't think of anybody that is outstanding from Texas. I honestly can't, and that's kind of sad because I watch every time Texas plays Oklahoma, and nobody sticks out to me.
All right, we'll just pass on. We'll
skip that one because honestly, I don't think they have anybody that's that great. I mean, we could go to a ton of other teams and pick guys out, but not that one.
Absolutely. All right, so we're gonna tease this a little bit for next week because we're running out of time here a little bit, but. If you listen to us a lot, I love uniforms. I love uniforms. I like to mess around with uniforms. I like to design uniforms. Whenever I coaching a team, I like to design that stuff. It's just fun for me. I think too, when teams look good, they feel good, they play better. It doesn't make them a better team, but it helps, especially in this day and age when teams are so flashy and stuff. So we're going to talk about one real quick, and then next week we'll come back and talk about what our favorite uniforms is. For the NFL and what team should go back to stuff like that. So the Tennessee Titans, finally, I shouldn't say finally, maybe came to their senses and went back to the Oilers color scheme, which people can complain that it's the Oilers scheme, they shouldn't take it, but it's still the Oilers franchise that is now in Tennessee. They switched their logo, and my son showed me the logo at first, and I thought it was a little bit plain, but then he showed me the uniforms. And these might be my new favorite uniforms in the NFL, outside of maybe the Chargers. These are awesome. They got the baby blue jerseys. They got baby blue pants. They got the white, and then the white is they got the baby blue with the red outline. I'm not a red person, but it actually looks really sharp with these uniforms. I know you're not as big as uniforms as I am, but what do you think about these uniforms?
Well, I think we have talked about this for as long as we've done this podcast for 5-7 years, whatever it's been now. And we talk uniforms, and we both agree that those old school Houston Oiler uniforms are in the top 5, maybe top 3 of some of our favorite uniforms of all time. So it's great. And I knew they'd changed their logo because I'm on ESPN every day, looking at stuff, and I saw their new logo, but I didn't think much of it. But then you're like, did you see their uniform? I'm like, no. And I look at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, the Oilers are back. Because I miss the Oilers uniforms.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I love it. So it's great to bring those back. Denver, I hate you, but bring back the orange uniforms. Bring back the blue helmet with the D on it and the pony up there, Broncos snorting or whatever. But bring back some of that old stuff. So I love it. Hopefully, other teams will catch on.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. We'll talk about it more. We'll come back next week. We'll talk about this uniform a little bit more. Maybe we'll rank our uniforms and talk about which teams really need to go back to their past. Listen, teams sometimes outthink themselves and you wonder what there is. I'm telling you right now, this Titan jersey and this Titan stuff might become one of the new best sellers in the league because whether you like the Titans or not, those are sick uniforms. Yep. They're pretty cool. We'll come back next week. We'll talk more uniforms. I'm sure there'll be more stuff to talk about. Hey, maybe we'll come into more Mount Rushmores and things like that. Mm-hmm. But again, we'll come back uniforms next week. We'll be back next week. Until then, I'm Adam.
I'm Tony. Thanks for listening.
You have been listening to the Two Bald Guys Sports Podcast with Adam and Tony. Don't forget to check out our partnership with Happy Nuts.